Folks, let's keep going. Day 4. I want to do a few things today. First, I need to modify this cron tab here because I just like let it run for a bit, and almost all the data is exactly the same, and it's running every minute. It's unnecessary. I just want to run it every 30 minutes or every hour or something like that. Second is in a filter unique data. I was just looking at this and I'm like, well, if it's all the same, maybe I should just like filter those out just for unique counts. Then I want to display the results in a chart. I was just looking here at this recharts, which is a React charting library built on D3. Seems to be pretty simple to use. So I'm going to try that. I've never used this one. I haven't done any charting. I used like high charts last time I wanted to do a chart, which was really nice, but thought I'd try a different one out. And then we want to code up a refetch button because like right now this is just like static data, and if you want to reload it, you have to reload the page. It would be nice to have a button that we could use to refresh, or maybe just auto refresh it every couple seconds, or if we're going, this is like that meme where the brain is exploding, we could even set it up with like WebSockets where the data would just be pushed from the server to the front end when there is new data to show. That would be pretty neat to do as well. Not today, obviously. Let me know what you want to hear here. And then finally, I need some like basic styles getting up and running. So first, modify the cron. I've got my cron.js, and this is running every minute of every day. I'm just looking at some examples right here. You could run it at 0 and 30 minutes. You can run it at minutes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's some nice examples here. I think we want 0, 30. So if we do this, it runs at the 0 and 30. So we'll copy that and put that into our cron tab here. And we just rerun. Now it's rerunning. Cool. So that's the first one done. Filter for unique data. So that's something I want to figure out right now, where we can cut this down and only show incremental numbers when it has actually had a change up or down. So I'm not sure how to do this, but I like doing these ones because it usually results in some like, I don't know, like a filter or a like a reduce or something like that, or like a sum. So let's go here. We are looking at our data. This is not Twitter. We should destructure that into Twitter and Instagram. And here we'll just Twitter, Insta. And let's just go straight to the data endpoint. Actually, that's on to. There we go. Now what I want to do is before we respond with the JSON, I want to filter for only unique values. So, I think a filter would work here. So we say like const unique Twitter is equal to Twitter.filter. And then we'll call each of those a scrape. And then we only want to return it if the count has not yet been seen before. No, this is not going to work because if we get to this one, we'll keep it. But then if we get to this one, we want to see if the value is there. Then we'll keep that one. But we get to this one, then it'll look back. That's filter's not what we want. I think we want a reduce. And a reduce will take two things. First, it will take a function which gives us the accumulator, or like everything. And the second thing, everything is a bad example. What do we call that? Accumulator is kind of nice. We'll call that ACC. And then the second thing that it gives us is the actual scrape itself. And that is just a function here from which we can check if this one is already in the accumulator. And then we need a starting value, which is going to be an empty array. Then in here, we'll say if the accumulator dot, we want to check if this value is in the accumulator already. So if it is, we don't want to do find. No, normally we would want to check if it's in there and find it, but find will actually find them all, I think. Does it? Is that true? Find method returns the value of the first element. Okay, no, never mind. The find is what we do want. So we want to find inside of it that the we'll call that a scrape again, or not scrape. We'll call it an element. If the L dot count is equal to the scrape dot count. Let's say if dot length. Not length. No, just if it's there, then so if there is already one in the doc, so in here we'll need the opposite, then we will push it into the new array. So we return the accumulator as well as our new scrape method. So what that will do is it'll take everything that's in the accumulator already and return a new array. It's similar to pushing it into the array. So does that work? So let's just return unique Twitter right now. Actually, let's return unique Twitter. And a bit of an error here. Cannot read property find of undefined. So we're saying the accumulator. Maybe I goofed that up. Did I? Let's see. MDN reduce accumulator and the current value. Accumulator and the current value. Oh, I get it. Otherwise, we need to return the accumulator. I forgot, because if it doesn't find anything, then we still need to return the accumulator so that the next one has access to that actual item. So does that fix it for us? There we go. So unique Twitter is now 161.50.53.48, 84.87. Okay, so these are unique values being pushed in. What we can do is sort of take this out and make it into its own function. So let's go into our lib and make a new file called, let's call it utils.js. And we'll make a function called unique count that takes in scrapes. And then we take here. And we'll move this into here. And we will return the scrapes.reduce, and inside the reduce we have the return there. Export unique count. We should be able to go into here and import unique count from our lib utils. Now we have this nice little handy function where we say unique count and we pass it Twitter. And does that work? Still works. Good. So that's nice. And then we can obviously say unique Instagram and pass it Instagram. Refresh. A unique Twitter and unique Instagram 40, 41, 49, 50, 51. Okay, so these are all unique values. Now, is our actual app on localhost looking good? Cannot read property map of undefined. Oh, it's because I want to pass it as Twitter and Instagram, not as unique Instagram. So there we go. I don't see any doubled up numbers. I think another sort of thing about this is that if the numbers were to go down and match a previous value, then that also wouldn't make it out. I'm filtering those out. So maybe this could be done a little bit nicer, where you just check if the value has gone up from the previous one. So maybe do a reduce and then just check what the previous version was, and then if it's the same as the previous one, then scrap it. Otherwise, go ahead and use it. I'm only care about going up here for my own ego, so I'm going to keep it like that. Good. It's Wes from the Future cutting in here. I was just thinking about this while I was editing this, and I'm like, this can be done a whole lot simpler, and we can get the ability to see dips in the numbers as well. So I'm just going to like take an array here, and let's just make a simple little array, not actually working with the thing. So const like values is equal to 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 6, 9. Okay, so this is kind of like the idea that we have here. We've got an array, and we want to filter it for all the values, and we want to get the ups and the downs, but where there's like a duplicate, like right here and right here and right here, we want to take those out and make them only one. And I think we could do that just with the index. And in that case, we wouldn't even have to do like a let's look at here. We're doing a find. So every single time we loop over it, we run another find on the array. We can just use the index to look it up. So if we take the values and we were to filter the values, then we have a function here where the function gives us the number, or maybe we'll just call it the item, but then it also gives us the index value of what it is. And then inside of each one of those, we can just return the item. So let's just get that working. Okay, so that's it. So now in here, what we want to say is we want to return if the number, like if the item is equal to the values I, and does that give us the one? We want to return it if it's not the same. Oh, not the same as the last one. Hey, okay, so that gives us the doubles in that case. So go 1, 5, 5, 3, 3, and then can we return the opposite? Wrap that in parentheses. There. So now that gives us 1, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3. So if we get the ups and the downs, basically we're checking is this the same one as the last one? And if so, don't return false, meaning do not include this one. And that looks good. My only worry is what about like the first item? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's way easier. So also, does filter give us access? Here I'm just reaching out to the array called values, but does filter give us access to the original array? Filter MDM filtration. Ooh, turnkey operations. That's not what we want. Callback gives us the element, the end. Oh, yes, it gives us the original array. So we can modify that just a little bit more to take a third argument here, which is just called R, the array. Good. Wow. Much easier. I'll leave this one in here just for the heck of it so you can see it, but we'll say export function unique count takes in the scrapes, And from that, we will return the scrapes.filter. And let's check. Does this still work? No. Did I break it? Expected length, not a number. Let's go back to our data here. In Instagram. Oh, in this case, it's just giving us. Oh, that was a little bit too simple of an example. I need to filter out for the count. So we'll say if the item dot count is equal to the array from before it dot count, and now this might need to check if there is an item there first, because it's going to say cannot read property count of undefined. Let's see here. Open up the backend here. I cannot read property count of undefined. So let's break this up into its own function. So we'll say const last item is equal to this. And we'll say if there's no last item, just return true and keep it. It's the first one. Or we could just check if the index is the first one. So if I is equal to 0, return true. We'll just do that right away. Then we'll grab the last item, and then we'll say last item dot count return. Does that work? Yes. Okay. Even better. So 50, 53, 48. So here we go. We go up, up, and then we dip. And then it goes up, 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 and then it dips. So we are getting those values, and now our graphs don't work. Oh, this is just a little error. The graphs actually do still work. I'll figure that out off camera, but now we can see that the values do go up and down. Much better. All right, back to scheduled programming. So this is the data looking good this is Twitter and Instagram as well. Maybe we should make Instagram work as well. Let's do that. Let's open up our data.js component. Let's turn this into a table here. And what we can do is take a table, and then we need a t head and a tr and a td that says count and time, and we t body. TR. Oh, actually, no, then we can just take this and change this into a TR. And then we need a TD, the scrape count. And then another TD with these values. Looking good. And then we can make this its own component, because like this is something we probably want to do quite a bit. So let's make a new component. We'll go into our components and we'll call that a table. And I'm going to take this, put it into here, export default table. Inside of this, we'll return table, and we will just take in these scrapes. Change this just to scrapes. I think that's good. What are you whining about here? Unexpected token. Export default function table. Okay. And then we'll go here and import table from table. And here we simply just need to say table scrapes is equal to scrapes.twitter and scrapes.instagram. Distance in words needs to be moved over to here. And we should probably also pass like a title, or we can just do the title here. So we'll just say Twitter, Instagram. And I want to reverse this so that the most recent data is first. No. Yes, I do. But I don't want to reverse it in the API because I wanted the opposite when I actually show it. So I can just do this and say scrapes.reverse. I know that's a mutation. There we go. I reversed it. That's a mutation. Is that okay? Array reverse non-mutation. You take a copy of it. So const scrapes reversed is equal to a copy of it and then reverse it and then take our scrapes reversed. Scrape is not defined. Oh, that's not what I wanted. This. There we go. Okay, I'm happy about that. Why I didn't want to do that is because you're not supposed to mutate the original array because that will actually change the data that it's pointing to. And if you wanted to use that data somewhere else, then you could be reaching outside this component and affecting that data. That's not a good idea. So ideally what you want to do is take a copy of that array and then reverse it. And what that does is it leaves the original one intact. Okay. Now let's get the simple chart working. So this is recharts. And it's just called recharts. So let's go ahead and install that. And let's make a new component called chart.js. Very imaginative naming here today. We'll start that up again. I'm just going to take the simple line chart example here. And let's just get this working. We'll go back into our data. Chart. Does that even work? Cannot resolve chart. I put this in the wrong folder. Something didn't work there. Oh, it's because I didn't use it. The chart. Woo! That's fun. So can I pass the data of Twitter to the chart? Actually, which one has less data? This is going to be a lot. Yeah, Instagram. Let's use Instagram. Okay. Then we'll go into our chart. UV, PV amount. So basically we want to like pass in our data. Fiddle URL. What is that for? Oh, that's kind of Handy. They put the link to the original one in the component so that when you break it, you know where to go back to fix it. All right, well, we don't need that. We're not going to break it. We have the line chart. The data is equal to this dot props dot scrapes. Okay, now this is going to break. Okay. The line was PV. The key, let's go back to what they had. Oh, they had multiple. Dot props dot scrapes. And we just need one line for now. And the line is going to be count. That didn't work. Oh yeah, it did. But it's like based on 0. Active dot 8. What does that mean? No. I need that. Data dash key. I want it to, how do I specify what the lowest value is? Let's go to the docs here. See, there starts at 0. So let's go to the API of the line chart. Components, reference. The ID of the y-axis, which is corresponding to the data. Y-axis ID. By default, it is 0. Y-axis ID is equal to, I don't know, 100,000. Is that what I need? Count? No. All right. Let's read the docs for a bit. I might have to fast forward this here. All right. Silencer web. Same question. I want to start my chart from a min value of 4,000. Is it possible? How about this domain? Here is the demo. What does domain mean? It didn't work. Let's see here. Domain. Let's look at the docs for domain. Specify the domain access. The length of the domain should be 2. And we'll validate the domains in each element of the array. Oh, data min and data max. So x-axis. Oh, I see. We need to import the x-axis. We are. Data dash key name. I think so. It's domain is equal to an array of data min and data max. Let's see. Whoa, that worked. Okay. that's cool. So the domain, I guess, is a way to specify the high and the low of where it starts. And by default, the y-axis is going to start at 0 and go on up. So that's pretty nifty. So this shows, ooh, look at that big jump. Wow. Okay. And now let's work on the x-axis. I wonder what determines the size of this chart. Bet. Oh, right here. I wonder if you can just remove those. No. So can width take 100%? No. That's odd. Let's make it 1,000 by 600. Much better. Maybe it's a bit much. 800. That looks good. Okay, x-axis. We did the line for that. And then what is this active dot? Oh, we figured out what that was. The x-axis is right here. Data-key is equal to date. That's not very helpful. So what we need to do is do a little bit of data massaging before we actually go ahead and do it. So we'll go right here. We'll say const scrapes with dates is equal to this dot props dot scrapes dot map. I'll take the scrape and we'll return the count, which is scrape dot count. Actually, we can just spread the scrape, and then we'll say the date of the scrape is going to be the distance in words, which was very similar to what we did right here. Did we got to import that distance in words again. And we get rid of this data here. This needs to go inside of my render. Oops. All of this needs to go inside of my return. Above my return, inside of the render. Hoi, there we go. And then we'll take the scrapes with dates and pass that to the data. Duplicate declaration. Oh, it was imported already. Okay. Nan years ago. Something got goofed up in this little thing right now. So I'm just going to console log these scrapes with dates. See what we're dealing with here. Almost nan years. Yeah. Oh, a double distance in words. What happened here? Probably screaming at me. There we go. Hey, that's looking better. So 4 days, 7 minutes ago. Start to see it. Ooh, I like that. Okay. And then we should be able to just duplicate that chart with the Twitter results. There we go. That's looking good. Obviously, the Twitter results there's a lot more data here. Probably what needs to happen at some point is that this needs to now be aggregated on a daily basis, or like an hourly basis, or something like that. Once you have enough data, we should be able to send some sort of request back to the backend and say, give it to me by day, by month, by year. Maybe I'll leave this thing running for a couple days on my machine just to get quite a bit more data to actually work with. And then we can figure out how do we better sort of group this data together by date, because this is like a bit noisy to actually look at it and get any sort of meaningful information. So that's chart. refetch button, basic styles. I think we can do the refetch pretty quickly. Maybe I'll wait for the next one to do some styling to make it look decent. Let's go into our page component. And I was looking at how I did the refetch on my other sniper application that I have here. And what I did is I made a async function that was scoped to my hook. And then I used that fetch listings, which in turn will set the listings. That's why it's inside the hook, so I can set it into my state. But then I also returned the fetch listings from my hook, so I could call that at any time. So I think that's what I'll do here. Is I will here. Let's comment this out a bit. Initial state inside our hook, and this is our fetch function, and then this is our did mount did update. So we can take this, we'll say function async function fetch scrapes, and then we put all of that in here. And then our use effect will simply be that. And then we can just call fetch scrapes inside of that. And that sort of gets rid of our problem that we had with the function that we had here. We still can't just pass it fetch scrapes directly like that, because this is an asynchronous function, it returns a promise. And use effect thinks that if you return something, then that's a component will unmount cleanup function. So we still have to pass an anonymous function here, which in turn will actually call ours. But because this fetch scrape is scoped to our hook, we still can call the set scrapes that is right here. So that's good. And now instead of just returning the scrapes directly, we'll return an object that has the scrapes and the fetch scrapes function. That will probably break our application, which will go back into our data. And let's see what we're working with here. I'll just call this data. Return be working on it. Console log the data. Okay, so we get an object. Inside of that, we have our scrapes. Oh no, that didn't break it at all. Scrapes, scrapes, and our fetch scrapes function. Cannot read property. Maybe that is true. I see. So we need to destructure this scrape. We've got double scrapes going on here. So we need to go back to our page and yeah, rename this thing, not to scrapes, but let's call it data. And inside of that, we will pass. Oh, here. No. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We need to destructure this into scrapes. And what do we call it? Fetch scrapes. And we want to pass it down as fetch scrapes. Here. Can we do that a bit easier? Yeah. We could just call that, maybe not data, hook, or maybe hook info. I'm terrible at naming things when I'm on the spot here. So we get everything from our hook, we pass it down to our provider. Then if we go into our data, we should be able to just take the scrapes and the fetch scrapes out directly from our context. And is that true? Yes. Beautiful. And then we have this fetch scrapes function here. We can just hook that up to a button. Refresh, cyclist. That's a bad. We'll just say refresh data. And then on click is equal to fetch scrapes. Okay, and clear this out, go to our network, clear all that out. And now when I click refresh data, it goes off and fetches the fresh data. Refresh it. Ooh. That just jumped, but it is working indeed. Beautiful. So we could also set this up on like a timeout or something like that. Maybe we'll do that in the future. I think this video has been long enough. Let me know what you think we should do next. Probably get this thing looking decent, and then deploying it. I know it's pretty simple what this application does, but that was kind of the whole point. So I think if I can just style this thing, and then we'll figure out how we deploy it. I think I'm going to deploy it to DigitalOcean so I can show you how to run both like a front end React application and a back end Node application on a single server and a single domain name. So if you enjoyed it, let me know. I will catch you later.